Today on the Topping Show, Matt Walsh responds to Representative Jasmine Crockett changing her accent in videos and going viral on social media. Immigrant crime in the UK and Europe goes viral on social media as innocent people are hurt left and right. New York City mayoral candidate Zohran Mandamdi calls for rent freezes and goes viral as well. The new smart car is coming and 5 fans will be extremely excited. And Attic fans are being recalled. All of that and much more on the Topping Show. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of the Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with special proficiency IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Guy says he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, see, that's a joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still giving away a free Flamethrower with every IT purchase, with Picatinny rail adapters, so you can mount it to any standard AR-15, like all awesome accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the Flamethrower button to learn more and see me shooting a flamethrower. And lastly, trying to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now going over to the business part of the podcast, you have the smart car coming back for reasons, I suppose. Now this is brought to us thanks to Motor1.com, specifically Adrian Piano, who's a writer over there. And they say, quote, "The smart car for 2 is coming back with a new name. Yes, number 2. Yes, number 2. Which, yes, that is how they wrote it word for word. Now they say it will be designed by Mercedes and made in China. And here you can see the previous version, which was a comically mostly useless vehicle. The only people who really bought them, which, again, they had piss poor fuel economy, and you couldn't really fit anything in them, perhaps one average American. And yeah, they're basically used for people who live in hellholes known as cities. That's usually where people purchase them. Which again, always thought is comical that cars that would be bigger still have a traditional combustion engine and get a lot better fuel economy, be a lot safer, a lot more comfortable. But again, a couple of people did buy those cars. Now, again, this is credited to Adrian over at Motor1.com. He says, quote, "Smart has been a car company we grew up with for quite some time. Back in 2019, Mercedes and Geely set up a 50-50 joint venture to co-manage the Mini Rival. Production also shifted to China, where Hambach plant in France was sold to Linos, which now builds a Grenadier off-roader and pickup there. Today's Smart Badge models are far longer and heavier, topping out at number 5 in mid-size SUV that scales 5,401 pounds and stretches 182.5 inches. Now, Smart is taking a page out of the old playbook by reviving the car most of us associated with the brand, the 4.2. Rebranded as number 2, the all-new city car will mark the company's return to the A segment when it will arrive at the end of 2026. It will ride with a new platform designed specifically for the ultra-compact cars and new design penned by Mercedes. Like its larger stablemates, number 2 will be built in China, which, geez, we soon name this monstrosity. There's no word on the US launch, because they'll only sell 18, where the name has had an unfortunate connotation, because it's trash. They also weren't that reliable either. It says small, did not have good fuel economy, it was not that safe. I mean, it was great for the 5 people who want them in cities, or as I pejoratively call them, shitties. Now, they say that Smart calls itself the inventor of the original city car, which, not really. BMW did that 40 years earlier. They had a 3-wheeler, which is equally as comically sized. Nevertheless, they say that the new model will once again be a pint-sized 2-seater to tackle the urban jungle, which also, we look at kind of shifting culturally where people live. United States, a lot of people are moving away from cities. So maybe that's also why they're not coming here yet. They say that shadowy teasers hint that the Smart will keep as much as a quirky silhouette of the earlier 4.2s, though the new car appears to be more angular, dropping in the middle and more rounded surfaces than its predecessors. Unlike some of Smart's other models, which still offer combustion engines, number 2 will be purely electric. Without a bespoke platform, engineers will likely carve out a roomier cabin without compromising the car's tiny footprint. They say in Europe, most automakers have abandoned the A segment. The Volkswagen E-Up and its Skoda and Seat siblings are long gone. However, the VW plans to launch the ID.1 next year, but the concept measuring 152.7 inches or 3,880 millimeters, which This is America. We only know, I mean, millimeters is only known for one thing in America. 9mm. Great cartridge. Made by Gaylord, Mr. Gaylord Luger. Fun fact of the day. Yeah, anything beyond 9mm in terms of standard measurement, we just don't use. We know 9mm though. We know that. And 40mm for the grenade. But nevertheless, they say production will be considerably larger than both the E-Up and the Smart 2. Now you can see some of the teasers here. I was going to say if you want. I don't know how many people do. Looks comical. I'll give them that much. Now, Motor1.com claims, quote, it's refreshing to see a new car in today's industry dominated by car bloat. With battery tech having advanced significantly since the old electric Smart, the new model will easily beat the EQ42's modest 74 to 84 miles of range. Expect the wheels to be pushed to the corners once again, giving the car a long wheelbase relative to its size and allowing room for a chunkier battery. Price remains the main question. The VW ID1 is expected to start around 20,000 euros. If the Smart number 2 ends up costing significantly more, its charm alone may not be enough to pull buyers away from a more practical 5-door hatchback like VW's upcoming entry-level EV. They say that Renault is also bringing back the Twingo in 2026, a small EV, even cheaper at under 20,000 pounds, pesos, euros. Where funny money they use these days. Which, again, there's a market for these vehicles. They're smart. Europe is where more of them will be sold. But again, at the end of the day, again, they're already going to be made in China. I can't help but think BYD, the big automotive conglomerate in China, or as Trump would say, China, which, let's be honest, when you see China in print, don't you hear his name, for better or worse. But yeah, in terms of having a mass adoption in the United States, I don't see that happening anytime soon. They might enter the market here towards the very end as their last priority. Because again, the United States is laxing their regulations in terms of they're not forcing us to buy EVs anymore, thank God. And I mean, that's why other countries are adopting EVs. Governments are forcing them to make it. So this might succeed a little bit, but I just don't. It's small, not practical. And if you live in a city, I thought, especially in Europe, they brag about, ooh, our magical trains are so convenient and all that kind of crap. I mean, Europe is known for, the city transits. Where, fascinatingly enough, well, for certain political changes, their public transits weren't total crap in terms of, on the floor like San Francisco, where literally is crappy. So Europe prides itself with all the public transportation. No, I mean, who is this really for? Again, I'm very skeptical. I don't think Mercedes will actually make a profit on this. I think it's more of a boondoggle just to appease their overlords of the European Union to say, hey, we're making more EVs. Please, for the love of God, stop beating us up and stopping the production of our most successful vehicles. But that's just my 3 cents. It used to be 2 cents, but inflation's got to be 3 cents. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Going over to the Cultural Report podcast, you have Matt Walsh responding to Jasmine Crockett video where she changes her accent throughout the years. And spoiler alert, yeah, she has a new made-up accent because that's how she is using the political advantage to try to get more votes. Now, Matt Walsh is actually responding to End Wokeness, who's credited for this video. And End Wokeness says, quote, breaking, Jasmine Crockett unveils a new ghetto accent. About 26 seconds long and equally as insufferable as my voice, but some might argue maybe worse. This is Jasmine Crockett. And I should have given you both a visual warning as well as an audio warning because, again, debatably she sounds worse than me, which is, again, saying something.
Maybe because these people, they are crazy because they always talk about how Christian they is. Yeah, I don't know how many of them on that side are getting divorced because they getting caught up sleeping with their co-workers, staffers, interns, all the things. Yeah, you ain't got to believe me. Just go Google. You'll find some of it. I'm telling you, and the wives is being messy and petty. They putting it in the divorce. I'm like, ooh, that's got to be true because your lawyer would know that they going to lose it if they...
I mean, it almost feels like Tropic Thunder, where famously when the actor said, no, man, you never go full retard. Which, of course, famously Robert Downey Jr., who's just, of course, a dude playing a dude dressed up as another dude. Expertly, I must add. And, yeah, spoiler, a couple years ago, he did not sound anything like this. Now, Matt Walsh responded saying, or actually, he just literally responded with, well, their terrible grammar, and he said, quote, a sitting member of the United States House of Representatives, which, again, she won. And yeah, that's why she changed her accent. I believe, let me scroll down really quick here. Someone actually does have her original accent when very earlier in her career. But yeah, there's a reason she's doing it. It's because it sounds, I guess, more appealing to the average voter who likes her. I believe, let's see here. This is credited to Spiritual Warfare. And he says, quote, who could put an entirely different personality every time they step out of the door for years just to sell out to people you pretend to be fighting for? A sociopath, that's who. Let me see here. Come on, X. What are you doing to me today? One of those things where I test my network every time before I do a show. Always good network, always good speeds, always good. But let's see here. Oh, shoot. Really, Elon? With all the people paying for Twitter X or X Blue, whatever you call your thing. That's disappointing. Well, if we reload it just specifically on this page. A long, awkward pause. Thanks, Elon. Jeez Louise. But going back to the main comment section, again, she does it because that's who's voting for her. She's trying to use the accent that appeals to everyone in her constituents that would vote for her. Not too dissimilar from what Hillary Clinton did back when she was attempting to run for office, and she had, even more comically, hot sauce in her purse, which I don't think anyone on the planet authentically does carry hot sauce in their purse. I'll go in the comments. So the first one comes to us thanks to ALX saying, tell them about it. Getting 114 likes. Gave us out to Clara, simply as a meme of a girl saying, period. And she's just yelling at her phone. Getting 220 likes. Alex Grace, that poor son of a bitch, the Republican or conservative who's stuck behind enemy lines in Canada. He says, quote, imagine lecturing Americans on morality while sounding like you've just lost a rap battle to a toddler. Wow, getting 8 likes. Crazy Cation Girl simply says, Starly no hablo factardo. Getting 1,000 likes. Nick's Dank Memes, as an oldie but a goodie for Christmas story. It's a meme where he's opening up the mailbox and says, quote, all sweet, my WTF is Jasmine Crockett saying this time decoder ring finally arrived. Getting 373 likes. You guys have Importanter saying she dropped this. Just some broken tires, looks like eyelashes, getting 179 likes. Yeah, Biden's Missing Brain tweeting says, I've been educated. And it's Jasmine Crockett with some Photoshop, and it says Democrat hood rack on the placard instead of her name, getting 150 likes. Let's see. Jem from Jemus Island says, quote, does anyone else speak jive? I do. The famous scene from Airplane getting 105 likes. I Love American News says, quote, I bet Jasmine Crockett is on OnlyFans within 6 months of leaving office. They have a picture of Melania Trump, and it has a sign that says, quote, Jasmine Crockett, I speak 5 languages while you struggle with English, getting 207 likes. Part of Your Family has some laughing emojis saying, quote, the way she behaves and conducts herself is laughable. And she says they cause Coons for saying she is ghetto, getting 1.1 thousand likes. And actually, let me put that on main screen here as I try to speak today. Let's see. This is a real quote. This is credited to Patriot Aaron. It's a picture of Jasmine Crockett saying, I have been giving no intelligence, getting 83 likes. Yeah. She said that, what was it? Is it about an intelligence briefing a couple months ago? And Jasmine Crockett on camera says, I have been given no intelligence, which, again, how did she not see that coming in terms of that's going to be a sound clip and a meme for years? I also have Solian saying, quote, when will Americans realize that talking like uneducated Negroes is embarrassing? Getting 1.1 thousand likes. Abby says, so embarrassing. Our representative used to write like this. It's in cursive and says, we have people getting 278 likes. The comedian says, the best and brightest according to Biden. And then it says, Jasmine Crockett with a made up quote, says, IQ, how you spell dat, getting 229 likes. What? Ryan Vong says, Thomas Jefferson would have strangled her if you were brought to life today, getting 448 likes. No, he'd probably marry her. I mean, everyone knows the stories of Thomas Jefferson. Let's see. Mo Sociofactor says, imagine showing this footage to James Monroe, getting 733 likes. Not seeing anyone speak up for her. It blows my mind. that this clip won't work. Utterly disappointing, Elon. I don't know how many, he needs some better infrastructure. Shouldn't have videos freezing. Come on. This is credit to Joe, who says, quote, pathetic pandering coming from Crockett. Will this play? Oh, here we go. So this is her accent a couple years ago. She was just starting to get in politics.
First of all, it's good to see you in the new year. You know, no one could have told me that when I went down to Austin, now looks like a little bit over a year ago, that I would be running for Congress. It's just not what my plan was. But what I've always decided is that I would step up when there was a need.
Listen, he up there, he's spewing all kinds of nonsense and bullshit. Let me just be real. And we weren't gonna sit for that shit. We wouldn't, you know.
But when she called me and said, I think it's time for me to retire, and you're the one that I believe should take my seat, I really was kind of caught off guard. I didn't anticipate that. Absolutely. First of all, it's good to see you.
And yep, that's a good juxtaposition of her accent earlier in her career and later in her career, which, again, all politicians do it. And she's probably one of the most brazen and probably the biggest differences you see in terms of the speech patterns. They got 131 likes. But again, I mean, she does this because, she's getting votes, she's getting donations because of it. So I don't think she'll ever go back to her previous accent. But do you think the average person, again, she's a successful politician, she got elected, do you think the average politician will ever stop doing these types of things? And do you think the average American voter will ever realize most of these people are phony as hell and just making it up? Let me know your thoughts, because, as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part of the podcast, you have immigrant crime spreading across Europe as mass migration goes left and right, and Europeans are no longer safe. Now, this is brought to us thanks to End Wokeness, and he simply says, quote, Europe is no longer safe for Europeans. And you can see European mother, older gal and a younger gal, so I'm guessing presumably a mother and a daughter, and they're standing right outside, at their threshold of their door or their apartment complex. And it's just standing there. It looks to be maybe a Somalian. Starts walking up. He puts his foot in the door so they can't close the door anymore. And he pushes through. So he slams the mother and the daughter to the ground. Looks like concrete, the sidewalk. He slams into the ground. Looks like he drags the girl away, throws her. Smacks her again. Looks like he tried to steal something. Now he's running away. What a useless dog, too. So they apparently had a dog. What was that? What kind of dog is that? Most useless guard dog on the planet. This is reason number 9,758,735,006 do not live in the weak conquered area that is Europe, which unfortunately is also becoming the United States, places like Minneapolis. And, yep. Now, thankfully, not in every state in the United States, but in most states, right about there is where you can defend yourself and your family with lethal force. If you're only listening on the Spotify, or the Spotify as I like to call it, or Apple Podcast, and look at the moment in which this piece of shit takes his foot and inserts it so that the mother cannot close the door, and he starts to force entry into the premises, which in most states in the United States, again, not a lawyer, though I do own a suit, the castle doctrine comes into effect, and you're defending your family. And unfortunately, because Europeans are so weak and spineless, they gave up their guns years ago, saying, "Oh, you foolish Americans, why would we ever need guns?" Well, we've actually read a history book. Most Europeans have not. Spoiler: when governments take away guns from the people, the worst things in history happen. And here's a good example. Now, Europe has mass migration. They are not vetting. They're not doing any security vetting, clearly. And yeah. Thank God they're alive, but this mother and daughter were physically assaulted by this piece of shit. In America, thank God we can defend ourselves. For now, I say it because you have so many things changing culturally and politically in the United States. You have some politicians calling to ban guns, like that douchebag Tim Walz, trying to disarm us left and right. But this is what happens. You have zero security vetting when you just have mass migration. And this is only the beginning. Europe's already getting worse. Look at the statistics on who's getting hurt the most. Women and children. They're being exponentially assaulted and taken advantage of the worst possible ways. and I try to keep this family friendly. These kids are being taken advantage of the worst possible ways, and the government doesn't care. In the UK, they actually will jail people for longer for memes of assault and being assaulted than the actual perpetrators. It's ridiculous. It's morally reprehensible. It's disgusting. And yet, another reminder that God made man, but Samuel Colt made man free. Well, these days, Gaston Glock and Eugene Stoner, if you want to be all-encompassing or more diverse in your firearm types. And yeah, yet another reason not to live in Europe. And this one pretty valid. Got 2.4 million views and 26,000 likes. Now, one of the first comments comes to us thanks to Liberty Pill Memes. He says, quote, Europe needs to close its borders. You have a guy standing next to the European flag, and he says, hey, UK, what's going on? The flag goes, little girls are being arrested for carrying axes to defend themselves from migrant rape gangs. He goes, holy shit. Getting 790 likes, which, yep, that happened. Amelia Henderson says, quote, freedom of speech is dead. You have a UK police officer saying your tweet was offensive to illegals. Well, in the background, well, he's arresting a guy for that, or giving him a ticket. In the background, you have someone about to stab grandma and a child, which, yeah, shows the values of the UK government, the police, in terms of where their real resource allocation is being pushed and where they are actually enforcing these draconian laws, like saying free, like having no remblance. That's another reason UK and Europe is, I would say, already a third world hellhole, and they have no freedom of speech, no Second Amendment to defend themselves. This evil totalitarian government. They also got 990 likes. Amelia Henderson also says, quote, no arrest for rapes, but arrest for social media posts. And yeah, they're doing that. Got 295 for that. In some cases, these judges are saying, well, you know, this person didn't understand our culture or customs. They didn't have the mental capacity, so we're not going to prosecute them for abusing these young girls. Thank God, in the United States, if you hurt a kid in the worst possible way, not always, but some states allow judges' discretion to eliminate their life completely. Again, there's a higher standard in terms of proving them that they are guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. But some states like Texas, Florida, and I believe Tennessee, if you hurt a kid in the worst possible way, the judge deems so, that piece of shit will never leave jail because they won't be alive. And given the high propensity of people who hurt kids usually will hurt them again, yeah, I'm pretty pro in terms of, yeah, give them the death penalty. Stop the threat completely once and for all. I also have Paul Zazupa saying, quote, deport all non-Europeans. That's the answer, getting 207 likes. Mr. Lighthouse Beacon, as a picture of old Crusaders, says, quote, urged crusade intensifies, getting 1.1 thousand likes. Nick Stain Memes, as a picture of the girl with the knives, and says, quote, your government will protect you, getting 739 likes. And it's like, that girl was arrested for defending herself from a migrant. So again, statistically are hurting them like 20 times more than actual Europeans and UK men. Again, I think the law should be applied equally. If you hurt kids, I don't care where you came from, you shouldn't be allowed to live. I don't think that's that. Well, in terms of YouTube policies, yeah, that might get that video removed, but Rumble is cool. They believe in free speech. But I don't think that opinion is that far-fetched. I think culturally and politically speaking in the United States, more and more people have that semblance. And I do wonder globally, though. You also have an whole religion that worships a piece of shit who is known for sleeping with a 9-year-old. Spoiler, not Christianity, not Catholicism, not the Jewish faith, not the Hindu. Now, going to the comments, you also have Sarah Smith saying, quote, it's already begun in America, too. It's Jack Sparrow jumping off his ship, and in this picture, Mame, he's called Muslims, and they're saying leaving the country of the ruined to your country, getting 723 likes. Let's see. Fight with Meme says, meanwhile, anyone who notices and challenges is a terrorist. And the UK.gov has a prevent duty training. It says terrorist ideologies. They say extreme far right includes cultural nationalism. Western culture is under threat from mass migration and lack of integrity by certain ethics and cultural groups. Okay, 315 likes. So yeah, if you mention that statistically speaking, they're hurting kids 20 times more than the men who were born there, yeah, you get in trouble if you live in the UK. Again, shows you how much a weak conquered 1984 dystopian hellhole that place is. I'll say the Brad Berninger Project says it's so bad. You have the Tom Hanks movie where the guy says, look at me, I'm the captain now. But he says, what does he say here? Look at me, I'm English now. Getting 843 likes. And I mean, the most famous or the most common name in the UK is Muhammad, so close. Yeah, it's getting there. Let's see. Let's have Anna Gill says Europe 1990s 2000s, Europe now. It's a beautiful woman then juxtapositioned with a disgusting picture of Greta Thunberg, which, I know I don't have much ground to stand on, but still, getting 645 likes. So, yeah, we'll see. Well, let's see here. We'll see if anything actually changes in the UK or Europe. And again, I hope it does. I mean, a mother and child shall be attacked like this in broad daylight at their own place of residence. And this guy walked up, slammed him with the ground, and threw him around like a rag doll. And someone did, again, circle that useless dog. Which, I should clarify, it's a physical, like, biological dog. Not DAWG, like the person who's trying to attack him. Like some people might call him. Like, what up, dog? Thanks to Urban Dictionary, I know that is a common term. So again, I hope things get better for that part of the world, but I'm pretty skeptical. I don't think it will anytime soon, but let me know your thoughts, because, as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have Zohran Mandamdi calling for a rent freeze for more than 250,000 apartments in New York City, which I pejoratively mispronounce because most cities are shitty, so I pejoratively call it New York Shitty. Now, this is brought to us thanks to The Blaze over at X. And Mandamdi speaking right there, which, he put on a suit. He did one smart thing in his life, which, low bar. Speaking of, he can't even bench press a common weight. Pretty pathetic, but nevertheless.
And that is why, as your next mayor of this city, I will freeze the rent for more than 250,000 rent-stabilized apartments.
And the apartments will fall into disarray, and everything will become like Section 8 really quick. Really quick. And excuse me, I have some type of throat issue going on, but the weekend's close, in theory. So, be better soon. But, yeah. If you've ever examined any of these situations, it's awful. Again, I'm sticking up for landlords. I don't even own a damn home yet. Someday I hope to. But, like, as soon as you freeze the rents, and the government also causes ridiculous inflation when Democrats and Republicans are in charge. It happens all the time, unfortunately. But yeah, eventually, I mean, right off the bat, they'll stop actually fixing stuff, which again, I know most landlords are getting made fun of these days because they don't fix things properly. It depends. I've gotten pretty damn lucky throughout my life. I've had some good apartment complexes. I have some bad ones. And when it comes to the house, I'm really fortunate that he'll fix it if anything needs to be fixed. So again, I know most people hate landlords these days, but they provide a service that you agree to. And it's an instance where, again, he's basically saying we're going to lock in this price. So eventually they'll be priced out of the market. Eventually they'll go negative, and eventually they'll just give up. And I suppose he wants to see, I would guess he's hoping that, well, then they'll sell to the government. Kind of like how he wants government run grocery stores, which again, historically speaking, has never worked. There's like government controlled anything. I defy them to think of one successful government project throughout our lifetimes, or in way in which they take over the private sector. And yeah, it would be, I mean, he's had a lot of bad ideas. This might be one of the worst ones. Man, went pretty well. I got about 100,000 views and 332 likes. Well, the first one comes to us thanks to, well, I'm a little biased. It's not the number one by likes, but number one by handsomeness. Me, the Topping Show. I say, quote, bread lines are coming to the leftist hellhole near you. WTF, getting 6 likes. Georgia Freeman has a picture of a dog labeled Zohran crapping into a person eating it, called New York City, standing on the box of socialism, getting 113 likes, going up like a good stock. HQJ says, never forget. It's a picture of one of the Twin Towers falling. And it's Zohran on it. It says, they forgot. Which, I mean, I don't think Zohran's, is Zohran part of the FBI or the CIA? Kidding, kind of. You also have Kevin Meredith says, quote, I don't want my rent frozen. I want my landlord to continue to have plenty of money to run the building properly. Mind your own business. Communist pig, getting 307 likes. Charles Riley says, quote, so he's trying to bribe people for votes, huh? This guy shouldn't even be allowed to run for office in America. Pathetic, getting 93 likes, which, I mean, that is kind of what Democrats do most of the time, and some Republicans. Just bribe people. Yeah, Squiffy, simply having a GIF from Saturday Night Live, says, what could possibly go wrong? Getting 14 likes. It's Dry Heat says, Javier Milei has entered the chat. And he's him with the chainsaw, getting 10 likes, which Yeah, in terms of a country being successful after mass deregulation, yeah, he's the poster child of it. You have Will G says, quote, while simultaneously raising property taxes like they did in California, forcing landlords to sell the property to BlackRock. New York will become a ghost town if this guy wins, getting 192 likes, which, I mean, he should probably clarify. It will become more of a ghost town. Very similar to communist California. Past couple of years, businesses and people have been leaving in droves, partially due to abhorrent, disgusting tax policies that make it damn near impossible to maintain any remnants of a good standard of living in those areas from business perspective and from end user individual perspective. I mean, this is the reason people have been living in New York City, the most overrated city on the planet, I would argue, for years. It is emulating a lot of the same things like California's done on a state level. And yeah, I don't see it getting better anytime soon. Maskless says, but what about the landlords that pay taxes and fund your communist agenda, getting 16 likes? Let's see. CMG 1973 rather says, quote, and then I will bring in Muslim R-word gangs, just like in Britain. It'll be wonderful. It'll be wonderful. Allah Akbar. Obviously, sarcasm. 80 likes. Let's see. Base client has a gif of Ron Swanson looking scared and laughing. Says, me excited to see New York after this retard is in charge. Getting 10 likes. Laura also says, while raising property taxes on property owners, getting 15 likes. Again, it's sad because, I mean, kind of like Chicago, there's some good people that live there. Apparently, they never vote, but again, the policies from political perspective make those places I would argue uninvestable from a business perspective, but also unlivable for individuals as well. Again, most of the major Democrats are all endorsing Zohran. I mean, he won the Democrat primary and by a landslide, and he's propelling, getting more and more popular every day. One more. Dr. Dan says he lives in one. His family is worth $64 million, of course. Getting 64 likes. But again, this is going to resonate with some folks. Marcus also says a blatant vote to buy, rent control never works. It always makes housing more scarce, getting 29 likes. Again, people get bought every day when it comes to elections and their votes. Do you think this will be enough to push him or continue to propel him politically speaking? This will be one of the major things that helps him win? Let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have Attic Vents, or rather Attic fans, being recalled. Now, this brought to us thanks to the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission, perhaps the only useful government website, granted pretty low bar. And they say, quote, electric motors for gable and roof mounted attic fans recalled due to fire hazard distributed by Air Vent. And you can see the cliche. Oh yeah, there you can see the cliche fan right there. Again, credited to United States Consumer Product Safety Commission. Now, they note, quote, the recalled electric motor safety cutoff may pose a risk and short circuit and and cause a fire hazard while in use. Whoops. And yeah, this is no small recall at all, so a pain in the ass, but check your ceiling or rather your roof if you have them. It affects 2.9 million units, which is quite a few to say the least. Now, they say that this recall involves electric motors used in gable and roof mounted attic fans sold from August 2003 through December 2013 with models Dow 136-034XIN, Dow 136-026XIN, Dow 136-40XIN, Dow 136-040XIN, or DREPSC 127-4P1SP when inspiring model names for a product. But nevertheless, it's squint right there. You can see where the products are properly labeled. There we go. Now, they note that, quote, the recalled attic fans can be identified by the distinct vent pattern on the motor and bells. Only attic fan motors with the distinctive vent pattern on the motor and bells are subject to the recall. They say that consumers should immediately stop using the recalled electric motors and contact Air Vent for a refund. Consumers will be asked to fill out an online registration and verification form with photos of the recalled attic motor fan. Upon confirmation that customer has a recalled attic motor fan, consumers should receive a refund. Now, whoops, they're not in a situation when it comes to the recall because the firm has received 154 response and reports related to the recalled attic fans involving burning or fire, but silver lining, no reports as of yet have been reported of injury or death. These are sold at various stores and wholesalers nationwide, including ABC Supply, Lowe's, Beacon. They noted in-store and online from, again, those days were, I didn't realize they were so expensive, between $74 and $92. They're distributed by, again, Air Vent Inc. of Dallas, Texas, and they're manufactured, of course, in China, or as Trump would say, China. And yeah, hopefully these fires are very quickly put out, but again, they're on the top of your home. So I gotta say, Air Vent Inc., you are certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so you can click that button. I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comments. Great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, anyone, everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.